Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. According to a report by Liberty Times, Elon Musk's aerospace giant SpaceX officially went public on the NASDAQ on June 12, marking the largest IPO in history. However, in an unprecedented move, SpaceX completely excluded investors from China and Hong Kong during its fundraising process. Experts note that this marks the first time a specific country's investors have been entirely barred from a major U.S. company's IPO, highlighting that the technology decoupling between the United States and China is now expanding into the critical financing stage of cutting-edge tech firms. Additionally, leading artificial intelligence startup OpenAI is expected to complete its listing later this year and may enforce similar restrictions, having already barred Chinese investors in prior private funding rounds. Both SpaceX and OpenAI count the U.S. government as a primary customer, with SpaceX generating $4 billion from government contracts in 2025. Analysts believe these companies are proactively preventing geopolitical issues to avoid jeopardizing lucrative and sensitive national security contracts with the federal government. Furthermore, U.S. regulators have tightened oversight over Chinese capital in advanced sectors like quantum computing, semiconductors, and AI. According to a U.S. official who spoke to CBS News, the Trump administration has deported a group of approximately 20 migrants from Afghanistan, Iran, Armenia, and Iraq to the Central African Republic. The move has sparked intense criticism because the Central African Republic is currently under a Level 4 travel advisory from the State Department, which warns American citizens not to visit the conflict-torn nation for any reason due to extreme violence and instability. Among those deported was an Iranian pro-democracy activist who had previously fled persecution and was granted a withholding of removal order by a U.S. immigration court. While this order legally protects her from being returned to Iran, her lawyer stated that she has no ties to the Central African Republic and was abandoned there without any support network. Advocates fear these deportees may ultimately be forced back to their homelands where they face danger. This operation represents the latest effort by the Trump administration to deport migrants to third countries under aggressive immigration enforcement strategies. According to UPI, the Cuban government has announced a sweeping package of economic reforms aimed at restructuring its centralized model. The announcement came just hours after the United States imposed a strict financial blockade on Cuba's state-owned oil company, Unión Cuba Petróleo, CUPET. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio defended the sanctions, accusing Cuba's leadership of using energy supplies to repress citizens and control society. The embargo also disrupted a proposed private sector fuel deal with a Florida company. In response, Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel rejected the notion that the reforms were a reaction to Washington's pressure. He described the measures as a necessary internal shift toward decentralization, inspired by the economic models of China and Vietnam. The reforms will grant municipal governments and state enterprises greater control over trade and foreign currency, ease restrictions on private small to medium businesses, allow foreign leasing of agricultural land, and downsize the central bureaucracy by merging several government ministries. Díaz-Canel also emphasized a national transition toward renewable energy, particularly solar power, as U.S. sanctions continue to hamper Cuba's key industries. According to NTD News, Google has filed a lawsuit against Outsider Enterprise, a cybercrime network based in China. The tech giant accuses the group of leveraging advanced artificial intelligence tools, including Google's own Gemini, to develop sophisticated phishing websites and facilitate online fraud operations targeting Americans. The lawsuit highlights the growing concern over the misuse of AI technologies by bad actors to scale and enhance cyber threats. According to Al Jazeera, the World Health Organization, (WHO) has raised alarms over the rapid spread of Ebola into new areas of the Northeastern Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. The outbreak, caused by the rare Bundibugyo strain, has now reached a crowded displacement camp in Ituri province, triggering fears of rapid contagion. Since the outbreak was declared on May 15th, health authorities have confirmed 676 cases, including 136 deaths, across Ituri, North Kivu, and South Kivu provinces. Olivier Lepauline, the WHO's head of epidemiology, warned that local community transmission is occurring in newly affected zones, indicating the outbreak's true scale is likely much larger than detected. Containment efforts are severely lagging due to a critical shortage of isolation beds. Furthermore, no approved vaccines or treatments currently exist for this specific Ebola strain. The situation is highly complicated by decades of regional conflict and the presence of armed rebels, which limits government oversight and has destroyed key infrastructure. Humanitarian workers worry that the spread within displacement camps could spark panic and mass movement, potentially threatening neighboring countries such as Uganda. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.